morning. Be useful if you have some kit, some blocks, like the ones over there, and a belt of some kind, maybe a bolster or a folded blanket, some kind of standard kit that we use from time to time for this morning, for where we're going on our little journey. Again, to begin the practice this morning, simply coming into the barometric of awareness of breathing. So take a moment to shift from whatever you're doing, whatever your activity is this morning, settling, engaging, whatever you've been doing. Come into the barometric of awareness of breathing. Just find yourself, no self, no self. Simple check-in of how things are. It's a powerful tool because you can feel everything in the system just coming into this place for a moment. I've been studying some great neuroscience stuff, looking at the role of anterior cingulate cortex, and dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, and the insula, and the way the body and the mind are one continuous flow of experience. It's a deep engagement and relationship between what we call intuition and what we call thinking, which of course is obviously there. And these simple practices we do of landing in the barometric of awareness of breathing, coming into the body centers, are ways of really creating this coherence in our experience. And without these tools, often life is more fragmented, incoherent. So we're going to engage with some movement today. Stronger movement, probably. Depends where it goes. So again, listening to your body and movement, being aware of everything around how you're moving, what you're moving, and the relationship between parts, and listening into the spectrum of sensation from yum to yak. Staying out of yak is either therapeutic discomfort or good feelings or bliss. So we're moving towards the bliss end of experience and out of the yak, and definitely not going into whatever you might call pain. It's not the work we're doing. There are ways one can do that. It's not what we're doing this session for certain. And then shifting out of awareness of breathing into conscious breathing, into voluntary breathing. So switching on the sensory motor cortex up here, which controls the respiratory muscles. But we're going into voluntary breathing, and the prefrontal cortex, which links with that to tell the muscles what to do because we're making choices. So in this movement, we're also engaging different brain parts. We're training the brain. And the intention here is to stay in choice for the whole session. So the choice is to pay attention to the breath and cultivate a certain quality of breath. So the breath we want to be exploring today, again, is somewhere around a 4-second inhale. Maybe 6, it may extend to 6. So somewhere between 4 and 6, and then somewhere between 6 and 8 on the exhale. So slightly longer on the exhale. Last week we did a box breath, relatively equal. We changed the parameters of it. And we really listened to the mind-body dynamics. So last week we were doing the conscious control, the mental control of the inhale, and letting the body decide where the breath hold was. We played with that last week. There's different ways of engaging in this coherence. So we're doing a slightly down-regulating breath, with a slightly longer exhale. And pretty much circular with the breath, so the inhale going straight into the exhale going pretty much straight into the inhale. You can have a micro pause at the end of the inhale exhale, but see if you can keep that circular rhythm happening for today's session. 4 to 6 on the inhale, 6 to 8 on the exhale. Keep the exhale so there's a sense of breathing. Don't let it just become so thin with the breath, because we can drag on the exhale. You can drag on the exhale so it becomes so thin, it's almost imperceptible. Now, we don't need to go to that point with it. So keep it so there's a sense of breath moving. It doesn't become so thin, if you like, but you can't really perceive it. You're just kind of stretching the exhale out. Don't go through that. Stay with the feeling of the movement of the breath for this part of the practice. And the same with the inhale. Play with your tongue position behind the top of the roots of the teeth. And see how much you can release the face, even more. See if you can relax so much you can feel the eustachian tubes and the ears kind of relax. Relax the eyes in their sockets. Everything is kind of switching down around the face. But the attention is on the breath, on the respiratory muscles in terms of control. The meaning-making structures of the head, the social engagement structures are all relaxing. And for the moment, keep the breath abdominal. So you have this breath moving down here, breath movement, but here's the diaphragm is just flattening down and lifting up. Pelvic floor, the belly moving with it. Back and front of the belly. We'll change this in a minute, just progressing through this practice, this arc of practice through the breath. Take the breath into the movement. I was talking about my live video earlier in the week. Literacy, capacity to feel all these differentials within the movement, gives us a real level of understanding and therefore capacity to be with, and then also, should we choose, create optimal flow states. So this literacy in the body, breath, mind, gradually creating, practice by practice. It's powerful. And at the end of the exhale, you're going to consciously squeeze in those base muscles of the belly. So going into the expiratory reserve volume, feel that gentle squeeze at the end of the breath. Feel the pelvic floor lift up. Pulse the pelvic floor just one time, maybe 2 times. Hold it in, just pulsing it so you can feel it. You don't even have to pulse it, but that's just so you can consciously feel it. And then breathe in from there. So keeping that pre-tensioning at the base of the diaphragm, which is going to switch on ribs 6 to 10. And again, you want to feel that in the back of the ribs and the front of the ribs, like you're breathing into the back body, like you've got wings almost. And just go through these lower ribs, 6 to 10 to start with. Now, as you're doing that, see if you can breathe into just the left side. on the inhale, and then just the right side. See if one feels easier. Does it help if you breathe? Prioritize breath through one nostril. Can you come independently to one individual nostril yet? Breathe into the back of the body first, and then the front of the body in this rib area. And conversely, can you breathe into the front of the body and then the back of the body? Just play for a minute or two with this awareness and capacity to control the respiratory muscles. And now start bringing that breath up. You can squeeze the transverse abdominals in a little bit more. Pelvic floor in just a little bit more, and get that breath happening so you can come up into the upper ribs, 1 to 5 as well. And here, just play with breathing into the back and the front of the body. Now, like I say sometimes, because we're going so much more, creating so much more volume of the breath, if we keep up that volume and keep up the speed as well, we're going to be reducing carbon dioxide in the blood. So we have to slow the breath. It's that longer exhale, but a complete exhale, and a slow inhale is really important now, so that we're not just blowing off carbon dioxide and then reducing oxygenation to the muscles and to the brain. So really stay in focus on what you're doing. Train your mind so successfully. This is the original meaning of the word yoga, where it meant devotion to anything or connection to anything. Originally meant bringing your mind to bear on one thing and staying with it. And this has always been tradition in the breath. And then because the complexities and the struggle that people have with doing that, it became other things as well, the mantra and so forth. It's all good. Saying the original meaning of the word yoga was to yoke the mind. And we know now from Western neuroscience this has powerful effects in terms of changing structure and the capacity of the brain. Focus the mind. Each of these nuances, these intricacies of the breath. As your face doing, is it still relaxed, or is it tightening up in focus and concentration? Keep it relaxed. How's your tongue doing? How's the nostrils doing? Are they still spreading the breath to lift that air up into the upper passages? As the depth, slowness of the breath. Feel on those different respiratory structures activating and then releasing on the exhale. Transverse abdominals activating at the end of the exhale. Feel all these micro nuances and then stay with it. If your mind struggles to do that, it's possible. Sometimes mind jumps around. If it's been a tough, stressful time, mind does that. Saltation. Saltation is leaping from one thing to another. Chinese call it monkey mind. Sometimes they call it frog-like mind. Just leaping about. Being part of the digital world, problem of the digital times, is it creates this experience of the mind as well. It's a powerful remedy. Digital life. So if you have a mantra that you work with, add it into the breath. Put it right into the middle of the breath. Mantra of consciousness, or continuous. Knowing as if you've been initiated into that practice. Fantastic. Stay with us just a couple of minutes more. So the rest of the movement practice, ideally, we're going to be having this weave of breath and mantras. You're doing that. But suddenly the breath through the whole practice, and staying with this nuance, staying with this depth if you can. And then from here, come up. Lift your knees up, stay with the breath now, just exactly what you're doing. Stay with the breath completely, every movement. So every movement you're going to breathe in, you're going to open the body, it's going to be an inhale. Whenever you close the body, contract it, go into flexion, it's going to be an exhale. Okay? Just doing that today. Stay with that now. Play with these movements. And tuck your feet back, come back onto your hands and knees. Whenever you're moving, see if you can stay with the breath now, through the nose, continuously breathing like this. Do a rolling cat type movement first, just getting that feeling of working with this cat type movement. Feline qualities, releasing the spine. Now that's going to check into the subtle little micro muscles along the spine. So find your wiggle here. Find whatever wiggle you need to explore here, whether it's pelvis side to side, belly down, chest up. Find the little micro movements in here for a moment or two. Again, this is a kind of necessary daily experience in a lot of ways, because this is getting into the little micro, the express muscles along the spine, but otherwise just tighten up from being either horizontal and asleep or vertical and moving around. This horizontal mobile capacity here really gets into those structures. Daily medicine. From here up into the mountain, lift the knees up. Nice and steady here. Fingers fanned wide. Shoulder blades open away from each other. So squeezing the shoulders away from the ears, and that's switching on the latissimus dorsi, if you can feel that. This muscle here, this wing muscle here, you'll feel that switching on. Pulling the arms slightly back, you feel the opening of the shoulder blades. Now we're going to be taking the sit bones up into the sky and just pushing the bum backwards, sort of bouncing slightly backwards and forwards in the hands here, with the knees slightly bent. See if you can open the toe spaces up as much as you can, and just press into the pads of the feet. The heels are off the floor. Staying with the breath as you pulse in this position here. Staying with the breath. Relax the back of the neck. Back of the neck is long. And then ease one heel in towards the floor. Just one heel down. And take about 4 breaths.
And the other heel down. And 3 or 4 breaths. As you're doing that, keep the arch of the foot lifting. So we're going to keep this medial arch of the foot lifting here as much as possible. Then move your hands just to the outside. So we're going to keep one hand on the floor and then reach over onto the outside of the opposite leg. Just ease that heel into the floor. See if you can spread the toes and lift the toes. Couple of breaths here. Breath steady. Change hands. Over to the other side. And bring the knees down to the floor. Tuck the tailbone, squeeze the elbows in towards each other, aiming towards the ground, just pulsing in towards the floor here, keeping those fingers fanned wide, roots of the fingers on the ground, and bring the head as far forward as you can. Just pulsing gently here, shake the back of the head, keep the breath strong and steady. Back, head between the hands, head forward of the hands. Head back between the hands, head forward of the hands. Release the belly, drop the belly down, come straight into Sphinx, rest the head down to the ground, shake the head and jaw, steady breath, roll the shoulder blades down the back. Keep the head down as you lift the chest up. Bring the chest forward, wobble your butt cheeks, stroke your toes into the ground. Lift the head to look forward just in front of the hands. 5 full deep breaths here. Release the chest forward, so bring the chest forwards. Lay the chest down, release the head down, hands underneath the shoulders, drop the head to the floor, forehead on the ground. Shuffle the knees forwards, bring the chin forward onto the floor, lift the chest up, come forwards if you can't lift the chest. Otherwise, push the chest off the floor, pulse 3 times, drop the head down. That switches off the upper trapezius muscles. Back up, we're going to be going in and out of back bends today. Opening up, rolling through the spine. Bring the knees up off the floor, straight up into the air, step the feet wide. Hands back on fingertips. Yeah, you can have your blocks to hand. Have these here if you need them. Get these to hand if you need them. It'd be very nice to have those. Simply rest the hands on because it enables the descent of the shoulder blades down the back and the heart forward. So with that if you need it. I'm using my fingertips. Take the feet as wide as you comfortably can, where you can also keep the toes spread, the medial arch, lifting, bend your knees if you need to. From here, bring the heart forward. Use your fullness of your breath. Straighten one leg up, just like we're doing in the dog. The dog mountain, mountain dog. And then the other side. And you can pulse into the side which is basically squatting, which is the knee bend side. And then bend the knees. Bring the chest forward. Keep the chest heading forwards. Straighten the legs up best you can and hang out there. Yeah, and again, you can micro bend and then straighten, micro bend and straighten, get some slide and glide happening on the muscles here if you want to. Or if it feels really comfortable, you can hang out there. Either way, find what feels right for your body. I'm going to slide and glide today. Some days I just hang out. And give yourself the freedom to be able to do whatever feels right. have to do a particular thing. Nothing, straight legs is not superior to moving. Wonderful. And then from here, see if you can arch up into the air, arch your spine right up, like in the feline, the cat type position we were doing. Wriggle it up with the breath. And then take your spine the opposite direction, bring the chest through like we were doing in the Sphinx a moment ago. Just drawing it through and pulsing through, arching up one more time. And drawing the chest through. Beautiful. Take the hands, put them flat down onto the ground. Walk the feet in a little bit. Walk them in. A little bit into a narrow squat. Just simple here. Pulsing here a few times. Do what you want with your hands. You can have them open. I like interlocking them sometimes pointing, sometimes having them open. Yeah, sometimes taking them up in the air. Take your choice here of movements that feel really good to you. Just to be with for a moment while we're pulsing here. Just gently and slowly up and down. And then breathing fully, of course, hands down to the floor. Step the feet back. Knees back down to the ground. Roll the spine again. You bend your elbows now. Just play with the optimal fluidity of the spine. Use bent elbows. Rather than having the elbows straight, don't even have to have the hands fully on the floor. Just see how much, my fingers are off the floor here, see how much you can really optimize and play with this fluidity in the spine. Arch the spine up. Draw the spine through, chest through between the arms, lay the belly down, come back into the Sphinx. Yeah. Find your way into it, release the spine, release the pelvis, wiggle your butt cheeks, release the butt cheeks, so soft and relaxed. I like stroking my toes on the floor. If you prefer having your feet pointing away, do that. Spread your fingers. Head down, relax. Bring your heart forward again. So switching on those lumbar segments, making sure we get length in the lumbar spine. So when we come into the extension, we're coming in place of length. So we're not just pushing back into the facet joints here. We want that breath focus movement all the way. And then breathing in, lift up, breathe out, lower down, hands back, slightly wide, drop the head down. Up in cobra here, when we're coming up, butt cheeks relaxed as you come up, roll the shoulder blades down. When you come up, you can again point your feet away if you want to, or tuck the toes. At the end of the movement, squeeze your butt cheeks nice and firmly, and squeeze the thighs. See if you can squeeze the muscles on the front of the thighs. Get the legs working really strongly, pressing into the floor. Shoulder blades down, shake your head and jaw, relax out, full breath. Be able to move and mobilize your shoulder blades. So be able to move here. We don't want stuckness here. The arms can move, the elbows can move. Okay? So we're using the muscles in the back primarily to lift ourselves with. Okay? Really nice. Full deep breath here. Lifting the heart every inhale. Keep those legs strong. See how long you can make the breath. And 5 breaths. Spread your nostrils, use your tongue. That's 2 breaths, 3 more. One more breath. Check your shoulder blades are mobile still. Shake your head and jaw, face relaxed. and release down into the ground. Release down, go halfway down, pulsing into the arms here. Belly's just off the floor, navel's just off the ground, just pulsing gently here. Drop your head, drop your face, breathe. And then lower the belly down. Bring your hands forwards, palms together, onto your forehead. And see if you can lift the lower ribs forward towards your elbows. So kind of just lifting the chest off the floor by pushing your elbows into the ground and then squeezing them together. Like a devotional sphinx of some kind. Release your butt cheeks, release the legs, release the spine. There's always a going with gravity and always a lifting away from gravity somehow or another. That always has to happen. So consistently exploring the capacity to both drop in to gravity and what minimum can you do to create that power lift, the anti-gravity as well. You want to find the minimum amount of work that's available, that's possible of anybody to do that. And draw our hands back, place them on the floor. Again, bum cheeks up, push forwards. You can either come forwards to come up, and or if you can, lift the chest up. Drop the head down, shake the head and jaw. Let the head really hang as you lift up. And slowly come up. Beautiful. Tuck the tail. And straight up into the spinal extension, arching that spine. Pulsing up into this feline work of the spine here. Open the knees wide. Tuck the toes back. Place the big toes next to each other. Take the bum back onto the ground behind you. Come forward a little bit. Come back onto the ground before you. And then from here, you're going to be working forward slightly. Just on the fingertips again. Just on the fingertips. Get the feeling of as if you're pulling yourself forwards on the fingertips and pushing back through the sit bones. Just a couple of breaths. And keep the fingertips in place. In breath. Lift the pelvis up. Walk the knees in a tiny little bit. You can tuck the toes underneath if you want to, or keep the feet flat down. And then start walking the hands forwards. Walking them forwards. So wiggle your bum. Push your bum backwards. Get that bum moving now. Just gently. Feel the pelvis. Feel the whole of the pelvis moving. Feel the breath still. Stay with the breath. And walk the hands forwards. And then you can rest down in this position and bring the face to the floor or the forehead to the floor. Lift the chest up, lift the face up. Take the hands, another hand span forwards. A little bit more. Push the bum backwards and see if you can bring the chest in towards the ground. Breathe in, lift up. Lift the body weight up above the hands. Just pulse the pelvis backwards. And walk the hands back underneath the shoulders. Nice and easy, arching up with the breath. Rolling the spine again, finding the maximum roll you can find with the breath. Tuck the toes underneath. Press the hands into the floor. Back up into mountain dog here. Again, fan those fingers wide. Bring the elbows towards each other. Open the shoulder blades. Knees bending. Open the toe spaces. And again, just ease both heels in towards the ground. Drop the head down. Shake the back of the head. Relax the face. Take a few breaths. Breath in. Lift the head forward. Lift the face forward. Turn one foot parallel to the 45 degrees to the midline, and then step the other foot forward up into space in front of the foot. Change my camera angle. Excuse me a second. Can't see properly. Okay. So you've got one foot forward, one foot back. Simple stance. Play with your alignment here, so you can have this heel. I reckon this heel in line with the heel. We don't want to make it unnecessarily complicated, to be honest with you. And spread the toes open on both feet. Make sure the toes are open, hands level to the front. Bring the arms up, clasp the thumbs, cross the thumbs, fingertips touching, so you create space in the palms like this, creating this kind of sense of space here, like this. So you can push the wrists outwards, press the fingertips in, push the wrists outwards, and that enables space in the shoulders. If that doesn't feel doable, take the hands apart. Shoulder blades coming down the back. And just take a couple of breaths here. I want to really engage the back heel. Take the back heel, the outer part of the back heel down to the ground. See if you can almost, if not, actually lift and open the toe spaces in the back foot. Keep that breaths long, steady, all nuances working as best you possibly can. We're going to come back down to the ground with the arms. Breathing out, reach down, still breathing out. Place the hands on the ground, still breathing out. Step back and stay here for a moment or two. Take a couple of breaths here. Pushing the earth away, pulling the shoulder blades into the back of the ribs, lifting the bum up a little bit. So engaging back into the heels, really feeling the weight distribution between the toes and the hands. With that lift like a suspension bridge, lifting the pelvis up into that space. And then lower the pelvis down slowly. Slowly lowering the pelvis down, halfway down. Adjust your feet if you need to. Roll the shoulder blades. Get some mobilization of the shoulder blades here. Rolling them right back into hand. Head still down, looking forwards. And then pulse the chest forwards into the space between the arms, pushing the heels backwards. And you can look up and forward, or you can look down on the floor. More breaths. Now pulse the pelvis forward, push the pelvis forward and back. Push the pelvis forward and back. And then lift the tail up. Push up into the sky. Back up into the mountain. Adjust your hands and feet if you need. Turn the opposite foot, midline. So it's 45 degrees to the midline from the hands to the feet. And then step the other foot forwards and simply come up straight away with the palms, interlace the thumbs again. Take the arms up. And again, take that opportunity to really engage the back heel and the toe spaces on the back foot. Whatever step the body gives you is fine. Circular breathing. And breathe out. Hands down. Fan the fingers wide open. Place them into the floor. Step back. Find that plank again. Shake the head and jaw. Relax. Find the minimal anti-gravity work that you can do. And then push the bum up into the air. Adjust your hands and feet as you need to. Take one foot to the midline, toes pointing forwards this time. Snap the other foot forward, whichever one feels right.
And straight up into the air. Hands interlocking those thumbs again. Reach up and open here. Now, if needs be, you can have the hands wide if you need better balance. You can also have hands on the wall if you want to. Okay, so whatever you need. I'm going to be doing this fantastic movement here of lowering the knee down towards the ground and slowly straightening up. Lowering down, gently pulsing in this position 3 or 4 times, and then straightening that leg. Just 3 times. So lowering the knee down towards the ground. Doesn't have to go all the way. Just gently pulsing wherever it reaches, and then slowly straightening the leg. Straighten that leg out and take about 3 or 4 breaths here. Lower the hands down. Place them super wide. Double shoulder width. Drop the chest into the ground. Relax the back of the neck. Shake the head and jaw. Keep the back leg lifted if you can. Put the knee down if you need to. And step back. Adjust your hands and feet. The breath. And take the other leg to the midline. Right leg up into the air and step that forwards. Come straight up. Straight up on the other side. Lowering to the floor. And straightening that leg. Three or 4 pulses. And then straighten on the exhale. Take the hands down slowly. Double shoulder weights. Bum down. Turn the front foot out a little bit. Bring the chest down to the ground. Into this earth dragon. Passing the chest in towards the floor. Keeping the back leg as straight as you can. Put the knee down if you need to. Then come back into kneeling. Knees wide. So again, we're finding anti-gravity muscles, which very much occupy the front and the back of the body in terms of how we lift the back and lift the front with the breath. It's connected to an inhalation. We've done this practice many times before. We're going to get the feeling of squeezing the thighs up, squeezing the bum up off the heels, hands on the knees, The intention here is to keep the back of the body long as well. So you can really engage the back of the neck, lifting the back of the head up, and feel the back of the heart lift. So the back and the front of the heart lifting on the inhalation. And if you can actually lift your bum off with your heels, go for it. Then relax on the inhale. So you're getting that feeling of squeezing the knees and lifting up here. Yeah, and hold coming right up on that circular breath, lifting up, feeling that top position, then melting down. So feeling the capacity to lift against gravity, and then relaxing into gravity. Beautiful. And release. Bring the hands forwards. And come back up into mountain. Open the shoulders wide again. I'm going to step forward with one hand behind the opposite foot, knee behind the same hand, and come down to this sitting position, which you use a lot. And again, depending on your body structure and type, you may want a block underneath or a bolster or some kind underneath the sit bone here. So you can put it in at an angle like that. Yeah, so it's pointing slightly forwards into the middle of the pelvis, and that just sits underneath the sit bone beautifully there to give some support. You may also want something at the front here, because this is then really nice if you're sitting on something, and even if you're not actually, to give you some lift. So you can roll the shoulder blades down and then breathe in and lift the heart up. So coming into this spinal extension here. Now, as we're coming into this, shake your head and jaw, relax head and jaw first. Gently tuck the tailbone slightly. Then create the length, just as we've been doing on the floor, with the Sphinx and all the other positions we work with. So you can find this lift here. And then engage that back leg like we were doing in the cobra on the ground. So you want that feeling of the butt cheek active on this side and this thigh quite active in the floor here. So it's like we're trying to press down through that leg into the ground. Again, from there, like we were doing kneeling a minute ago, I want to get the feeling of on the inhalation, finding your anti-gravity muscles and really squeezing as if you're trying to lift the body off the ground. And then releasing back into the ground on the exhale. Still working with that 4-6 or 6-8 breath. So the nervous system is down regulating. As you're doing this quite strong movement, okay? You can relax here, take that book out of the way. Underneath that, take them out. And then from here, back up, straight back up into mountain. And find some wiggle here. Bend your knees, bend the elbows, find as much movement in here as you can find in a comfortable way. Just play with the movement, left to right, backwards to forwards with the spine. As much release as you can.
Then we're going to step forward with the other side. Get blocks in place if you need to. And definitely something underneath the hands so you can make sure the shoulder blades are free. Gently tuck that tailbone. Squeeze those base muscles of the belly at the end of the exhale. Find that respiratory lift. The inhale lifting. Exhale mounting. When the back leg is active as well, to activate those quads so it feels like you're really earthing back into the back leg. You can dorsiflex the front toes here. And that again engages this front root. So looking at both actively and passively engaging with gravity is an active engagement with gravity here. Yeah? There's a lift up against gravity and then a passive drop back down into gravity. And we'll use the breath. Now, step back again into mountain. Take a moment there. Step back up into mountain. And find the fluidity of movement. Arching the spine forwards, drawing it back. So find this sinuous wave in the spine and also the side to side movement. Looking to mobilize and play in this position. Explore. Be curious about what feels nice. Looking for that spectrum of sensation into a place of delight. Then whichever your first side was, we're going to come back into that. And blocks and whatever you need in place. Find that lift again. Find the lift and the gravitational release. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to take up the back leg and go to the side so you can see me. And take up the back leg, lift it up, and take hold of that foot. Now you have to lift the pelvis up to do that. So you lift up here, open up, and then bring the pelvis back in towards leveling it to the front. Then engage the ankle back into the hand, pull the shoulder forwards, pull the hand forwards. So you've got this tensional loop we're setting up along this line through here. You can squeeze that tensional loop, lift on the inhale, and then release on the exhale. Breath. And release back. Step back. Mind you wiggle. Step forward with the other side. Exactly the same. So yeah, I'm going to turn around so you can see. Come into the other side here. Take some time really to settle in. It's useful to have that drop down. Yeah. Find that work of releasing the shoulder blades back, getting the pelvis comfortable, dorsiflexing this front toe if that helps you to really land into this front root here. Think of this sort of whole as being a foot here almost. Turning ourselves into some kind of mollusk here with an immense foot. And the thigh, feel that into the ground. Tuck your toes back if that helps. Because you can look either way, you see. And then find your lift and your release with the breath. Reach back. Take hold of the ankle on this side. So we have to lift this pelvic thing up first. It's going to come in and then just replace it. Put it back in towards level again. Wherever it goes to. And set up that tensional loop. Just loop through here, up through the shoulders, into the hand. Push the foot back into the hand. And on the inhale, really squeeze that tensional loop. On the exhale, softly release into the floor with gravity work. Anti-gravity inhale. And then the gravity-philic exhale. And then release. Sit back, and this time just bring the back foot round. Bring the soles of the feet together. Lean back on the hands. Inhale, find the anti-gravity work lifting up through the heart. And on the exhale, actively with gravity down through the thighs. If that's really easy, of course, you can come up on the fingertips here. And by easy, what I mean is if the with gravity work has enabled you to earth down through here, I wouldn't come forward prematurely because it's going to switch the psoas on, and that's going to lead to a rotation in the femur and push into the knee joint. So it's really good to be back here if your thighs are off the ground, if your knees are up off the floor. Just stay back and breathe. It's great to be here. There's no urgency, no pressure to get anywhere. It's good where you are. It's okay. Yeah, it's really good. So I'm just saying, for those of you who've got body type or whatever, where this can come to the ground, then you can come up on the fingertips here and you don't then risk the knees. But if you've got your knees off the floor and you come forward prematurely, the psoas switch on, rotates the femur, risk the knees. Not good plan. All right? So just feel where you need to be with this. Be in that. It's perfect as it is. Again, for some of you, it's going to be absolutely fine to be there, in which case the hands can also come forwards, but that doesn't lead to a lift in the knees in the movement. It doesn't lead to a flickering up of the thighs in the movement. The thighs stay grounded. They're rooting there with gravity. They're down with gravity. And you come forward just gently, fingertips only. Hold on to the fronts of the feet, balls of the feet. Release the shoulder blades. Keep the back of the neck long. Find that lift against gravity and the release with gravity. Down into the floor back. Find bliss in the breath. And release the feet. Back up on the hands and knees. Back up into mountain. Find your fluid movement here for a moment or two. And grab your 2 blocks. Blanket if you need to as well, because you might need a blanket underneath your knees for this one. We're going to play a game here. I think we're going to face into the wall first of all. We'll do this one. So you're going to bring your body as close to the wall as you can, like this. Knees into the wall. You're going to have these blocks set up around the line of your ankles, so just behind that, so about there. And the intention here is to be able to press the pelvis into the floor, and then take a breath or two and lift the chest up. So pressing the thighs into the wall, lift the chest up, reach back. And these blocks are here, just for you to reach onto. Shake your head and jaw, relax into it. Find that anti-gravitational work, lifting up through the heart. And exhale, press down to the ground. Same kind of activation through the thighs, okay? So pressing the shins and the tops of the feet down in on the exhale. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, develop and sustain the foundation. Pressing the pelvis into the wall. If it's possible, you could take the hands back onto the heels. And or turn the blocks down. But don't just listen to your body though. You want to keep this pelvis on the wall here. And the neck is long, not dropping the head back. Inhale, bring the chest up to the wall. Just kiss the wall. Press the knees back. And turn around the other way. Come down to kneeling. Close to the wall. Knees slightly apart. From here, inhaling. Find that anti-gravitational work, lifting with the inhale. Exhale, passively relax into the floor. So there's no active work with gravity here. You don't need to do that here, the integrity of the body. You can just relax into the delicious passivity of the exhale, dropping with gravity. Find that equal work through the back and the front of the body, almost this wave-like movement. It's very subtle. It's like we're doing in the mountain, but much more subtle. But it's there, sinuous, elegant, cyclospiralic work of the spine, the subtle muscles of the spine, and then melting down into the ground. And roll. Bliss of the breath. You bring the blocks up. Can you lift up now to the knees? Come up. Bring the blocks up. Now you may need your blanket pad here underneath the knee. We're going to put one back against the wall like this. The foot's flat against the wall. The knee down into the corner, the vertex of the wall as much as possible. Blocks are there for your hands. And then we bring the other foot forwards like this into this kind of lunge shape. And blocks are really useful right here now. Okay, again, get them as high as you need. So the inhale, working the heart forward gently and open. And exhale, putting the bum back into the wall. Inhale. And exhale, releasing back into the wall. Now, as you're coming forward on the inhale, really press the foot into the wall as well. So pushing that foot into the wall, earthing the front foot as well. So there's a strong foundational work on the inhale. So that sense of lifting the spine is coming out of the root. Then release back. Beautiful. Now change legs. Change legs over, step the other one forwards. I'm going to play on the other side. I often say this, expect asymmetry. Expect it, it's normal. That's what we are, we're asymmetrical creatures. So it's absolutely fine if you find it. And what we tend to do is we tend to love identifying with our strongest side, our most open, most flexible, strongest side. So give the other side some love. Give it attention, give it love. Be compassionate and kind. If it's tighter, be compassionate. Yeah, if it's weaker, be compassionate. Really feel into the sort of capacity to cultivate internal passion. So pressing that foot into the wall as you come forward, really engaging the foundation. It doesn't have to be strong, but that pressure, that contact is here, and the contact is here down the floor. So feeling that, so really supporting this opening as we come forward into this curve on the front of the body. Lifting up in the heart, back and pressing into the ground, and exhaling back. Slow movement with the breath. So how's your tongue doing? How's your face muscles doing? How's the breath doing? And keep this quality of awareness on the breath in this movement. You can do it anywhere. One more time forwards. Back. Down to kneeling. Again, find the lift. Passive release. Wonderful. Wonderful. One more breath here. Squeeze everything up to the floor on the in-breath. Feel the top of the head lift a centimetre or so, maybe more. And then relax back down to the ground. Then we're going to come back in on each side one more time. So replace your blocks, come up. First knee back against the wall. Another foot forwards. Again, really engage that pressure against the wall here, pushing against the wall. Tucking the foot forward here on the other side. And see if you can lift higher up now. So I'm coming up with my knuckles on the block rather than leaning on the block. If it's possible for you, and again, you could put another block underneath the block. But if you can come up now, so you can come up here, lift up. So less contact with the block, reducing the amount of work here. So we're going to find more mobility. Right? So breathe in, lift the heart up. Breathe out, take the pelvis down and towards the floor. If you can, take the hands off the blocks and just support here. Just find your mobilization here, independent of the blocks. Using the inhale. Squeeze and lift. Exhale. Release into it. If it's really good, you can take the arms up into the air. And that thumb cross we did before that, thumb cross, fingertip touch, that kind of thing. We did this way last time. You can also do it with the fingers interlaced like that. Both enable the drop of the shoulder blades and the length in the arms. One more breath, and then change sides. Then you start on the blocks. Find your groundation. Work with gravity, gravitation. And we're using the wall as part of that groundation here as well, obviously. Okay. Again, be with the asymmetry. Minimize the contact if you can. If you need to align the block, then do that. Listen to your body. Body doesn't feel strong enough and open enough. It doesn't. If there's too much sensation, just listen. Listen. Be really well with it. If it feels good, take the hands off the wall. If it feels extra good, then take the arms up. Down. Come into kneeling. More breaths here, just lifting and lowering. Reach your hands forwards. Back up into the mountain. Find any wiggle here, side to side, forwards and backwards. That's kind of flexion, extension in the spine, mobilizing around the shoulders, bending the knees, bending the elbows if that helps. So find that capacity again to lift with the inhale. So the sit bones are traveling up into space. As the fingers and the fingertips and the toes and the pads of the feet earth down. Cross the ankles. And stretch the legs in front of you. Grab your belt. You have one or whatever contact. I'm going to stretch you on here. Sit on your bum cheeks. If you need to, you can prop something underneath the knees here. If the back of the body is tight, you can put some support underneath the knees here, which will enable you to stay on the front of the sit bones. If the back line is long enough, you can sit here and sit tall in the spine, do that. And just let the feet drop out for a moment. And then we're going to roll the hips inwards to bring the big toes to touch, to bring the ankles to touch. Take the hands back onto the sit bones just behind the body. And feel the lift up through the front and the back of the body just for 3 breaths. Feel ribs 6 to 10, front and back of the body. Feel ribs 1 to 5, front and back and front of the body. Feel the upper belly moving for the breath and that foundational work of working with those transverse abdominals to enable this long, slow breath, not increasing the rate of ventilation. If this feels good, then we can come forward, pop the belt around the feet. Push the feet gently into the belt so the big toe pads are reaching away. And lift the chest up forward. Some of you may feel really comfortable taking the feet in this position here like this as well. So whatever you want to do, whatever feels right. I'm going to use the belt today. Some days I hold my feet. Some days I like using the belt because it really enables me to lift up and open the back here. I'm working on lifting up through the back, so lifting the front and the back of the body up and getting this breath really full, very rich in here. Engaging those inward spiral lines. But taking the hips immediately, gently inwards. And pushing away through the big toe pads as I'm breathing. This is energizing yin meridians in the body, relaxing yang meridians. Yeah. Energizing yin meridians in the front of the body. If you think of it in terms of Chinese medicine, if you think of it in terms of fascial work, we're working with, again, those gravity, anti-gravity structures with the breath. There's 2 more breaths here. Release. Then come to cross-legged position. And support if you need to. Sit on one of these. We're going to have the knees so they're below the iliac crest here. You need to sit up on something. Sit up and that drops the knees down. Whatever you need to do. Hands in the back of the head, taking the crown up towards the sky. Drop the palms inwards and downwards, so closing rather than opening energy up. We're going to take energy in right now. Jaw relaxed, tongue relaxed, face relaxed, tongue tip just touching the top of the mouth. Spread the nostrils wide, come into that. Whatever breath you're working with to begin with, whatever's happened to the breath on the journey through the practice, come back into that deep integrity with the breath now. Keep the mind yoked, keep the mind held, gently in love with the breath. The mind and the breath are creating this love relationship. It's kind of prayer, a kind of worship, like a devotion. It's like when you're really in love with someone, first, that kind of honeymoon period.
And we're keeping that honeymoon period, we're keeping that romance between the mind and the breath, and therefore the mind and the breath and the synergy of that, which is life energy. See how long and slow you can make the breath. Keeping that gentle work in the pelvic floor and the base. So we're going to still opening the upper thoracic, so all the way through ribs 6 to 10, ribs 1 to 5. But that has to be slow, like I said, to keep that minute ventilation steady. So we're not going to reduce carbon dioxide in the blood. We can increase it, if anything. And of course, as we're breathing like this, of course, what we're also doing is keeping the fluid circulating, because this enhanced thoracic activity increases the fluid circulation, including the cerebrospinal fluid. So hopefully, if we've worked well today, you're going to feel deeply present and also deeply alert and calm. Looking up in the front line of the body. Stress and trauma takes us into gravity. It's a flexion, it's a closure in front of the body. So we've been working with opening up, opening with the breath. Flower opening to the sun. Two more breaths here. Now gently relax the breath, relax the pelvic floor. Feel it relax and drop the breath down abdominal. So the chest, the thorax is going to relax and completely drop now. So we're taking that breath down with gravity. Expand the belly, add a little breath hold at the end of the belly expansion. Feel the front and back of the belly, so the space at the back as well. The tailbone's tucked slightly. And then a breath hold at the end of the inhale now. Extend that if you want to. Big full abdominal breath. Let go of any work on the exhale. So the exhale becomes completely passive. And let go of any control over the breath now. So just coming back into awareness of breathing, into that barometric place of acceptance, place of knowing, place of understanding how things are right now. Breath to whatever it wants to, whether it's slow, whether it stops. So tuning into the breath, tuning into the whole body. Crown to your bum, to your feet. Back again, front and back, side to side. If you've been working with the mantra of the breath, then let that emanate into every cell. Mitochondria are happy right now. The telomeres are happy right now. The cells are happy. Everything's happy. And this is your natural state. This is your natural state. So just register this now. Register the state of how you're feeling. Presence. And just let this be enhanced practice by practice, breath by breath. I'm going to close the session now, but if you want to, this would be a really nice thing to do. It would just be to lie down, cover yourself with a blanket, and bathe in the sensation, the experience in the bhavana, in the mood that's been created in this space. So give yourself time just to lie down and relax and do absolutely nothing for 5 to 10 minutes. I'm going to say thank you. Thank you very much for journeying today with the breath and with the movement and coming to the place of compassion and care for yourself. It's so precious to share this with you. So thank you, thank we, and enjoy your space of relaxation. Drop deep, drop well, be well.